Well, welcome to a discussion with the Cobb County Police Department's Real-Time Crime Center, where we pursue innovative advancements in public safety technology and policing. I'm your host, Aaron Hall. I'm a police captain here at the Cobb County Police Department. And today we're diving into the transformative power of real-time crime centers and public safety technology, but with a unique lens through the people who make it all happen. Real-time crime centers are much more than technology hubs. They're about the individuals who bring that technology to life and use it to serve their communities. So as we often say here at the Cobb County Police Department, good technology is nothing without good people. So we have guests today who represent two very different perspectives in the world of real-time crime centers. One is a seasoned law enforcement veteran, Major Stan Bell, who retired from the Cobb County Police Department with over 24 years of service in the community. Apparently, he does not understand what retirement means. So Stan returned as a retired police officer, and fortunately for us, he joined the Real-Time Crime Center in a role that we'll discuss called an integration officer. Stan's work has been instrumental in forging public-private partnerships and through basically integrating existing video infrastructure into our RTCC, creating basically community-driven partnerships. Our other guest is Haley Miller. Used to be Haley Stovall, but recently married. Young, ambitious criminal intelligence analyst, basically our baby bird. She first joined our team briefly as an intern and later began her full-time career with us as a public safety analyst in RTCC. So for Haley, the RTCC marked her first steps into a role that truly represented a career opportunity. Fresh out of college, graduating from Kennesaw State University's Criminal Justice Program, Haley has brought fresh energy and innovation to our team. So Stan and Haley's stories demonstrate a broad opportunity within the real-time crime center space. Whether you're just starting out in your career or you have decades of experience, there's a place for everyone to contribute, grow, and succeed. Together, Stan and Haley showcase the diversity and potential that makes this field so rewarding and impactful. Before we begin, I do want to mention the National Real-Time Crime Center Association. It has the acronym NRTCCA, or as we call it, NARTICA. The NRTCCA has been the cornerstone of our real-time crime center's journey. Their support networking opportunities have been invaluable to our growth and success. For anyone involved in or considering starting an RTCC, this organization is a must. You can find them online at nrtcca.org. So let's get started by welcoming Haley and Stan to the show, and I do appreciate you being here today.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We're going to start off with Stan. Stan, you've had a remarkable career in law enforcement. Can you start off telling us a little bit about your journey and what drew you to law enforcement, and then critically important is how you found yourself in the role as an integration officer.
All right, I'll do that for you. I'm kind of a cliche kid, so I was interested in law enforcement very early, maybe 8 or 9. And I'm from the south side of Chicago, single mom. Let's just say at that time, I had a little interaction with law enforcement. No big deal.
Yeah.
We don't need to discuss what exactly, right? But I had a couple contacts with law enforcement, and just a couple of those particular law enforcement officers that I came in contact with were just squared away, cordial, really took an opportunity not to punish me as a kid, but to kind of lead me down a path, right? And some things to this day that they told me that still stick with me. So it kind of made me want to go into law enforcement very early on. So I knew very early that I was going to be a police officer. So I did just that. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I joined the Air Force at 17 in a guaranteed law enforcement position because that's what I wanted to do in all hopes of transitioning to civilian law enforcement. So I did that. Joined the Air Force at 17, took off on my travels, did about 14 years active duty, came to Cobb County Police Department at that time, but then 9/11 happened. So I got called back up for 2 years. So a total of 16 years active, and then I spent 8 in the reserve. So some of that 8-year reserve time overlapped with the police department. So for the next 25 years with Cobb County Police, man, I mean, it was great. I had the opportunity to work in a bunch of different units, firearms, training, internal affairs, homicide, I mean, a couple administrative positions, organized crime. And it literally just kind of made me who I am today. And when it came time to retirement, which was really scary, I knew I still wanted to serve, but I was ready to retire. But I didn't want to go home and sit down. So you and I actually had a conversation about this role of integration officer, which at the time, I don't think either one of us really knew what we wanted that role to look like, but it was an opportunity for me to continue service after retirement. So I gave it the college try. I stayed retired like 18 days, right?
Yeah.
And then I tried it, and then I came back, and then we just kind of collectively turned this integration officer position into what it is today.
Yeah, like bringing up the point that basically that integration officer position was a concept and we had to turn it into a reality. So we'll probably hit on that a little bit later. Absolutely. And then Haley, you kind of have the opposite story. He goes over this entire career, right? Whereas you're just starting a career. So my question for you would be basically what kind of led you to a public safety career? And then how did you end up in this real-time crime center?
So I am the exact opposite. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I kind of always knew I wanted to be in like the law enforcement field, but I knew I didn't want to be like on the road as an officer. That was something I just wasn't interested in. It just wasn't for me. But I knew what I didn't want to do, and I knew I didn't want to settle for something that just wasn't for me. But I was getting closer and closer to graduating college. I changed my degrees or my majors multiple times, and I ended up switching to criminal justice major and a psychology major, and I had to do an internship to graduate. And that was difficult, but I eventually landed here at Cobb County Police Department, and I went all over the county. I was doing ride-alongs, and I just wasn't finding something that like clicked with me and like what I actually wanted to do. I mean, a lot of it was either officer doing patrol, detectives, and stuff like that, and it's just not something that was interesting to me until I found the Real-Time Crime Center, and it kind of just clicked. As cliche as that sounds, I knew that that's like the work I wanted to do. And a lot of the places I went to, it was just like I went there once and then I'd go to a different place the next week. But when I went to the RTCC, I asked if I could go back multiple times. I think I ended up coming back like 3 times. And then it just so happened that there was a position available right at the end of my internship, and I applied, I interviewed, and I ended up getting the job before I graduated college, and here I am almost a little over a year now.
Yeah, it's been a good journey, and one of the reasons why we asked both of you to be on this podcast is because that you're on kind of opposite end of the spectrums, but we're going to see how that ties into the success that we feel we have at our Real-Time Crime Center. And then it kind of gives a broad range of possibilities for people out there that might be interested in a public safety technology field. So kind of know the journey. Let's talk about those day-to-day operations. And then, Stan, we're going to go right back to what we were discussing, that integration officer position and taking it from that concept to the reality. So I would say it would be important to share, first of all, what we feel like an integration officer is, what that job is here at the Cobb County Police Department, because it's just a title that we've given to a concept that we feel is very important. And then after you kind of describe what it is, if you could talk about that human connection and why you feel that's so important to the success, basically, of a real-time crime center.
Absolutely. So an integration officer, like I said, we started as a concept, and we didn't know what it meant. But then, in essence, we knew we needed somebody to be the focal point, right? To be the focal point in the forging the public-private partnerships. That's what we wanted. We needed the bread and butter of a real-time crime center, in my opinion, license plate readers and integrated video, right? Short of that, the platform is just a Google map, right? So you need those tools and those resources to make the Real-Time Crime Center run. So my job at the time, and still, is to be responsible for getting integrated video into the Real-Time Crime Center. So forming the partnerships in the community. I do it from both angles as a registration piece and an integration piece. So registration handles kind of our residential space, how homeowners want to help the police department, but they just don't know how. So I kind of meet with groups, whether it be a Rotary Club, whether it be a HOA, and then just talk to them about solutions. Talk to them about a solution and how they can be a partner with the police department by registering their home video camera, their Ring cameras, Wise, Nest, whatever. Not to give police department access to their video. So the police department and the Real-Time Crime Center can't access that home video, but what it does do is our software platform allows them to put that icon on a map that person has video. So when we're conducting investigations, right, we can see that there's a breadcrumb for us to follow. So all the registration piece is just a digital handshake between a homeowner and the police department, saying, hey, I'm here to help. If you need something, let me know. All right? So that's our registration piece, and we push everybody to our website. That's connectcobbcounty.org. And then our integration piece is where the bread and butter comes in. So that's when we're really going to go out and install a device at the location. So that's commercial properties, apartment complexes, hotels, gas stations, things of that nature, so that the police department can access that video live. And that becomes very important, and I'm sure we're going to discuss that further on, but it just becomes very important that we can get that solution in the hands of these commercial spaces that want to partner with the police department, that want to help us in the interest of public safety, become more effective and more efficient. So that is totally what that integration officer position is. And that human technology, technology is emerging, right? How many times do you get stuck as a consumer? You got to call somewhere, right? And you get that automated system, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, you need to press 2. Tell us what you need. Yeah. Okay, you press 2. Okay, now press 4 if you want to talk about this. And as humans, we just get kind of frustrated with that sometimes. Yeah. I think in that relation to this concept, technology is important. It is the future of policing for law enforcement agencies. But there still needs to be a human connection, I think, and I think people will embrace that.
Yeah, I think that is some good points. 2 quick things, I guess. Part of the reason why that concept came around of an integration officer is because Lieutenant Thorpe and I, before you came along, that integration piece, we knew it was important, but when we combined it with all the other kind of activities and operations and things that come with Real-Time Crime Center, we found that we would drop the ball with those partnerships. And man, where you don't want to drop a ball is when you are trying to form relationships, form that trust, right? And so to have somebody that was focused on that job, I think was very critical. And I guess the second point too is that truly the integration officer, I think, represents community policing. So departments are often looking for what community policing is and how to do it, but you are effectively the face of our department and the face of the Real-Time Crime Center. Because like you mentioned, if there's a problem with a partner, if they have a question or something, they call Stan. They don't call some tech company or something like that. They call you. So find a lot of value to that integration officer position. It's pretty good.
Absolutely. I think so.
For basically our audience's understanding, a public safety analyst is what we call the non-sworn position that sits in the driver's seat of our Real-Time Crime Center. And Haley was a public safety analyst before taking on her new role as a criminal intelligence analyst. So in that role, you were often in the middle of real-time operations. So relating to that, how did you balance the demands of using advanced technology while maintaining that human element that Stan was talking about? So basically in the communication with officers in the field.
Well, it's really easy to become disconnected when you're around so much technology. I mean, people see it from day to day with our cell phones. Like, it's so easy to get engulfed in technology and get, like, distant from the real world. It's just, especially because I haven't met a lot of these officers, because I don't have a background here like most of y'all do. You know who these officers are, you've met them, and I don't have that. So it's really important to me to make communication a priority, and it builds trust. So it's essential for me to go the extra mile, especially when I first started, to make sure that I'm giving them exactly what they need and like giving them quality information, because it makes them want to come back to me for help. Because the main goal is to make the officers' lives easier, and while also keeping the community safe, but we also want to keep our officers safe. So it's just important to keep that communication strong and build the trust, like going out on radio and making sure that the information that we put out is it's true. Like we're not giving them a maybe or this could be it. We know that the information that we're giving them is correct. So it keeps them wanting us to help them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I was going to ask a follow-up question about that human connection, but I think you both kind of, already kind of covered that, right? That the real-time crime center, and I like how you put that, you can get lost in the technology if you're not careful, but really it is about relationships, relationships with your community, relationships with fellow officers and stuff like that. So I think you both kind of hit an important story that the technology is nothing without those people, right? So we're going to kind of move forward. Now we've talked about relationships, but talk about growth that you may have had professionally, personally, and stuff like that. Stan, you started your career when public safety technology was far less advanced. I think that's probably the nicest way of putting it.
Yeah, I feel like I should be offended.
Okay.
But continue.
Yeah, we're in the tree of trust, so let's not be offended. But basically with what you've seen, the advancements that you've seen over your career, how do you feel basically that the future of policing is going to be impacted by technology? What do you think the Real-Time Crime Center represents for the future of policing?
You know, it's weird because when I started, obviously, like you said, right, there's far less technology, right? But I do remember policing back then thinking, man, I wish we had some video. Man, I wish we had, some more tools at our disposal, right? And now it's just the opposite. Now there's so much technology and so many resources. The challenge becomes now how to manage all that data and all those resources. So I truly think Real-Time Crime Center specifically are the future of policing. That's not just a line, not a cliche. I think it's truly it. And I think law enforcement agencies that aren't embracing technology, man, you're putting your department behind. I just think you're putting your department behind. It's an age where the correct information is vital, and the frequency and the speed in which you get that information is vital. So our chief, Van Hooser, says it all the time, precision policing. And I think the best way to get precision policing is to get the accurate data at the right time, right out to the officers, like Haley said, on the road, because they're the ones responding. So they need to get there with the vital information to help them do their job. So I think it's very important. It allows us, we use a phrase all the time, and I always mess it up, but it's awesome, right? Because it allows us with the right information to pluck the lion out of the herd of gazelles, right?
Yeah,
without messing with the rest of the gazelles, right? So that's what I think. I think it truly is the future of policing.
So Haley, as we kind of highlighted, your career, just starting this career, you're coming into the Cobb County Police Department when we already have a real-time crime center, right? That's the world that you're used to. So with that mindset, if that's what you know, how do you see law enforcement evolving in the years ahead? What excites you most about being part of the growth of technology real-time crime centers in law enforcement?
I think I started when it was still fairly new. Like we only had 4 sections of school. Like it was very small when I started. We didn't have doors when I started.
Yeah, there were no doors.
No, there was no doors.
Yeah.
It was just wide open. But it's so funny that you say that, just because like you wish that you had videos and all that stuff when you started. I still wish we had more cameras now.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
every time something happens and we don't have something that we can do immediately, I'm like, wish we had a camera there, or wish we had something there that we could use. So that still happens all the time. I still wish we had more stuff, but it's only going to get more advanced from here. We're going to move up from here no matter what. But it's nice to know that we can share this information with other people. It always goes back to communication. But technology is constantly advancing. There's other people that have ideas that we may not know or we don't use, and vice versa. We're always sharing technologies and like how we use our technology that we have with people that are just getting it. And I think what we have will be a standard practice for all law enforcement agencies in the near future, which is really exciting because we get to help other people.
I like it. So we're going to pop back to Stan real quick, and we're going to basically engage your wisdom. All right, school's in session.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So as you look towards young professionals, or upcoming college graduates that are looking in the public safety sector, kind of like a Haley, right? What would be advice that you would give them? What would you want to have them consider in a career of public safety, and how to navigate this rapidly changing future?
Man, I think, hey.
Listen.
So, Haley, listen.
I'm already here.
The word I like to use is flexible. Stay flexible. And three words that we use a lot in our real-time crime center, but Haley literally is the epitome of these three words, right? Stay hungry, humble, and smart, right?
Yep.
And don't forget, technology is ever emerging, right? Until it's not, right? And even with, you said it earlier, with the greatest technology, you still need the right people in the seat of that technology. So if I had any advice, it's just to stay flexible, keep learning, and never let technology push you from communicating with people. At the end of the day, we all still need people to function, right? We still need to be able to communicate with people to function. So let the technology help us and not hurt us. So I think all that to say flexibility, I think, would be my advice, is just to stay flexible, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay smart.
I agree.
Do you feel like a better person?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your wisdom.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Heck of a job.
Okay, this is great.
So we talked about some conceptual things. Now let's get into some real world examples. So Haley's a public safety analyst. You sat in that driver's seat of the real-time crime center. So could you share a specific case or moment where the work of the real-time crime center made a tangible difference in public safety in our community?
I definitely wanted to include an example that involved everybody, like all the PSAs, and not just me, because there's stuff that I've worked on by myself, but this one instance was a felony shoplifting. They had hit a Dick's Sporting Goods multiple times, but this time they stole something with a GPS tracker on it. So we get the alert that I don't remember what it was. It might have been like a sweatshirt or something, but they stole like a lot of clothing, and we were getting active alerts that they were traveling. They got on the interstate and went to Atlanta. But we share cameras with, or Atlanta allows us access to some of their license plate readers. So we were able to find the car on DOT footage, but we were trying to find it on our license plate readers, but we couldn't find it for some reason, so we kind of adjusted our searches, and it had a piece of paper over the actual tag, which is why it wasn't reading it. And the GPS tracker shows it in Atlanta at a residence somewhere, and we were assuming they didn't live there. They were hopefully going to leave, and we could get them on a flock camera that was right outside of this road that they would have to pass it to leave, and that they would take that piece of paper off of that tag, which is what happened. I refreshed the search on Flock, and I was able to get the tag, and at this point we had already notified GSP. So a couple hours have passed, and we're all just sitting up in the RT. It's later in the evening, and we get a call from GSP that they had stopped the same car. They had went in a pursuit with it, and ultimately they had detained all three suspects down in Atlanta. So it was just something that we all communicated really well, got on the phone with GSP. We were, talking to different precincts and giving all the information out. We hot listed the car and all that stuff. So it's a good example of communication.
Yeah, a variety of technologies and then a variety of agencies. Because I think one thing we've learned, and I think we all kind of know this, but one thing we've learned at Cobb County about what we think our future entails is an interagency real-time crime center future. And so that interagency collaboration kind of shows the success that you can have from that. So it's pretty cool. So then we'll turn to your role as an integration officer. Obviously, we've talked a lot about those relationships. So do you have any example of you feel that that public-private relationship made a tangible difference in public safety?
And I would say since my time here, excuse me, all those partnerships that we have, make a tangible difference. But if I had to pinpoint one location, anytime an apartment complex agrees to share their integrated video with us, has the potential to do something very positive. All right. So one particular incident of a shooting that took place in an apartment complex, and the reason this falls in the line with your question, right, is because it is truly a partnership. At any point, that apartment complex can say, no, we don't want to share our video, right? And then that just puts a void in our resources to help us solve crime. But this particular apartment complex, very supportive, very understanding, wants to share that video. Shooting took place in the parking lot where there are kids' plans, where there's bus stops, right? And it was a shooting that took place. And because we had that integrated video, we talk about things like centralized and decentralized, but the call went for service, went out, officers started responding, and then an officer that was unrelated to the call, just happened to get on, heard the call for service, pulled up the video, rewound the video, witnessed the actual shooting. So that does, from a police standpoint, that does a lot of things for us. That's a validated probable cause that a police officer has observed of a crime that has been committed. So that police officer who didn't respond saw the shooting take place in the apartment complex, so already had the description of the vehicle, of the person. So then when he went back to live video, he sees now that the first responding officer has arrived inside the complex. Well, if there's no active shooting going on, no active victims flagging the officer down, right? The officer doesn't know what to look for. Mm-hmm. In this particular instance, since an unrelated officer had already witnessed the crime, when he went back to live video and saw that the responding officer was behind the suspect vehicle, he's able to go on the radio and say, hey, that SUV you're behind right now is the suspect vehicle. They were actively shooting. Use caution, right? That's your suspect. Mm-hmm. And that allowed that officer to already have established probable cause to stop that vehicle, mm-hmm. because it has already been corroborated that that is the suspect in the crime. Because of that, they activate their blue lights, they stop the vehicle after a brief pursuit, and that suspect's in custody. Not in 2 weeks, right? In like 19 minutes. So think about a community who has just had gunfire erupt in their community, mm-hmm. to be able to go back to them in 19 minutes saying, hey, we have arrested the suspect. There's no longer a threat here. I think that is the type of partnership and success, mm-hmm. that partnerships with the police department bring in real-time crime centers.
Yeah, and it's a good point. I was going to ask a follow-up question, but I think you basically encapsulated about that precision policing that Chief Van Hoosier kind of coined that term, and that is making that right stop on the right suspect at the right time, and that's a great example of that precision policing. But the other aspect of the precision policing is not only making that effective and efficient arrest, but what did it prevent? And what it prevented was any chance of there being a basically a improper or a negative police contact. So we all know that sometimes descriptions go out, and we can make lawful stops if the description matches, it's contemporaneous to the time and location. But if you stop the wrong vehicle, even if it's lawful, it can become a lawful but awful stop, right? And so that precision policing not only made the impact that day of getting the right suspect with all the evidence of the crime, but it also prevented any negative police contacts that day. So that was very impactful. So when it comes to our real-time crime center journey, our real-time crime center is about 3 years old, just a little over 3 years old. One organization that has had a big impact at the Cobb County Police Department is the National Real-Time Crime Center Association. So kind of discussing their role, and I'll ask both of you, so any of you can take it, but Nartica has been a key part of our development. How has the networking that comes from the National Real-Time Crime Center Association and the professionals, that we encounter, how has that helped shape our real-time crime center?
I mean, I will say that no one benefits from gatekeeping information. It's really important just to share, and I touched on this earlier, it's just, we build relationships with people from other agencies, and they can give us their technology that they use, and we can help share. It's just, it's no use in keeping close to the chest about what we do, because we don't want other people to do it. That's a thing of the past. That's just something that law enforcement shouldn't be doing anymore, is holding that information tight. I mean, it doesn't benefit anybody.
Absolutely, I agree totally. And what Nartica does is it allows a group of like-minded people to all be in the same room, right, and share ideas and share visions and share roadmaps, right, and communicate, like Haley said, because holding that stuff to the cuff is a thing of the past. So an organization like Nartica brings all these professionals to one location, and no real-time crime center is trying to outdo another real-time crime center, right? Everybody's trying to accomplish the same goal, which is public safety. So I think having this organization that continues to bring us together, it really sets home the iron sharpens iron mentality, right? The only way we get better in this space is to learn other people's visions and roadmaps to get there.
I like it. Want to kind of ask a quick question to you, Stan, because this integration officer concept, we're just going to go back to it one more time. We find that when we host a lot of tours, people find that position pretty interesting. So your focus on public-private partnerships, which is truly the heart of community policing, what advice would you give to other agencies looking to develop their public-private partnerships and start their own RTCC or start an integration officer concept into their RTCC?
I would say let your operational tempo guide the mission of your real-time crime center. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I've talked about integrated video being ultimately important to us at the Cobb County Police Department. But I'll give you an example of another agency we visited that has a very robust real-time crime center. And they have absolutely no private cameras integrated into their real-time crime center. But they're totally effective because they have so many city-owned infrastructure, government-owned infrastructure that they can utilize that video from. So they're so dense with video, they necessarily don't need a gas station or an apartment complex. And that doesn't make that organization wrong, right? That makes them understand their operational tempo. So they already have those resources. But if your operational tempo is very dense and you need these partnerships, man, my recommendation is to find them, right? The takeaways are, man, you have to learn and listen to these roadmaps and take steps and make contacts and do what you said earlier, community policing. And that's taken on so many negative context clues from over the years, but it really is getting out in the community and making the partnerships, because we only go as the community goes. You know, Chief Van Hoosier also says things like the police are the community and the community are the police. Well, a truer statement's never been said, because we really do need the community to be successful. So get out in those communities, and if you need integrated video and you need public-private partnerships, because we're doing it anyway. Every police department across the country, they're doing some version of community policing, right? Whether it's a police athletic program, whether it's an HOA event, whether it's a shop with a cop, right? All of those are community policing events, right? In the realm of real-time crime centers, though, let's just take it a step further and try and do something different there.
I like it. Haley, we're going to pop back to you. So what would you say, because you're not that far removed from it, so what would you say to recent graduates or young professionals who might not have considered a career in public safety or maybe in a criminal justice program, and they're looking for a way in their life to make an impact?
Well, I will say, not a lot of people know about this position, because I didn't. I had no idea that it existed until I did my internship. That might be a little different now, because we do a lot of things to kind of, I wouldn't say advertise what we do, but we're trying to open up some more positions for civilians, people who aren't sworn, because that's something I didn't want to do, as I said before, and that's a reality for a lot of students, is that they don't want to be sworn officers, but they want to do investigative work. And that seems so out of reach, because you do like the desperate Google search of what can I do with a criminal justice degree, and it doesn't give you these kinds of options. There's so many options for like graduates who don't want to be officers or get on the road and become detectives and work their way up. I still do investigative type work. I still am working with officers every day. It's just I'm not out in the forefront. I still feel rewarded every day for even small things. It can be something so simple, like a hit and run, and you make that officer's life just a little easier. It's rewarding. It is very rewarding. Your goal is obtainable, and you don't need to doubt your ability ever. It seems daunting when you are fresh out of college and you're coming into a job like this where everybody is experienced and has a long career path in this position, and I came in knowing nothing. I didn't know anything, so it's very, very daunting. But I promise you can do it. It's not as hard as it seems.
And you brought up a good point that one thing the public safety analyst position has showed me, especially when we open up these positions and the amount of applications we get, is there does appear to be a heart of service in our community, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with a badge and a gun, right? And so there are professional career opportunities and tech career opportunities out there where you can apply your skills to help your community be safer. So that's pretty cool. It's obviously been good talking to you guys about the Real-Time Crime Center and your part on our team. I want to kind of focus on what you want the takeaway to be from your very different perspectives. So kind of to wrap up, what is that takeaway you hope listeners have about your story and your work in the Real-Time Crime Center?
There's something out there for everyone. I've pretty much hit on this as much as I can. There's so many options to work within law enforcement that, like you said, you don't have to carry a badge and a gun. You can still make an impact, and I will say it's so important to network. Get your name out there, be persistent, make those connections, and start looking early. Don't wait, like I did, until your senior year, and now you're panicking trying to find an internship, and I haven't networked at all. Because, I was the student that kind of went to school, did my thing, and went home. It was just, I didn't do all these extra things, and I still, even though I have the job that I want, I wish I would have done that. So it would have eliminated so much stress. Mm-hmm. When I'm a senior graduating in a few months, or a junior even, and you're starting to panic a little bit, but that's normal. But to eliminate a little bit of that, network, like meet people. If you don't have to do an internship to graduate, like I had to do one anyway. That's it. It helped me tremendously just to show my face and get to know people in the field.
I love it because we've talked repeatedly about relationships and how important they are. And I can tell you from the side of being the hiring authority for that public safety analyst position, you having completed your internship when there were probably 70 to 100 applicants for your position, that relationship that we had already established with you was critical in the hiring decision. So that's a great takeaway. Stan, what do you got?
Yeah, I will say public safety is never going to go away. It's never going to go away. So some would say, and I hear it, hey, Stan, you did your time. Hey, just go home.
I think I said that to you today.
just go home and sit down, Retired from the police department. I retired from the military, and then here I am back again. And I will say, man, because there's still an opportunity to serve. I still care. And I don't need to go home and just sit down because I still have something in my head that I can offer. Mm-hmm. And Real-Time Crime Center space allows me still to learn, not just to offer and be of help, but still to continue to learn at my age and at this point in my career. So I just think the takeaway is public safety is never going to go away, right? There's always an opportunity to serve. So continue to serve. Don't be scared to serve. And just step out there. Like Haley said, just get out there and let's keep working because there is work to do. And because every community of every law enforcement agency is dependent on us to keep working and keep doing our job. So,
I like it. Stan and Haley, thank you very much for taking the time to share your experiences and your stories. It is, I think, inspiring for people, and it's why I picked you two to start off with, right? To be able to see how different places in your life, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, or what your experiences are, you can find a home in a real-time crime center, and your presence as somebody that's hungry, humble, and smart can make that real-time crime center better, right? Which, as a result, will make the community better. So I appreciate your time. For those that are listening, whether you're currently in law enforcement or considering a career in public safety, I encourage you to explore the opportunities real-time crime centers offer and connect with the National Real-Time Crime Center Association. That is at nrtcca.org. And if the Cobb County Police Department's Real-Time Crime Center, Stan Haley, or anybody from our team can be assistance to your journey, whether it be personally, whether you have been tasked with starting Real-Time Crime Center or are already developing one and growing yours, feel free to reach out to us at rtcc@Cobb County, that's COBB county.org. Together, we'll continue to grow, innovate, and build stronger communities as we enter into the future of policing. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having us. This was great. Can't wait to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got you.
Many more.